Welcome back to another episode of Super J Recap. I'm Kyle. I'm joined with a special guest this time around. Introduce yourself.
Hey, what's up? I'm Michael Watson. Me and Kyle take pictures of wrestling together
Yeah.
sometimes.
Not for a little bit, but
Nah, we will again
we
sometime.
will
Huh?
sometime.
Right, right, right.
But yeah, we're going over the quarterfinal match of the 1995 Super J Cup. It is Jushin Thunder Liger taking on Gran Naniwa. Liger was obviously representing New Japan Pro Wrestling. Gran Naniwa was representing Michinoku Pro Wrestling at this point in time. What are your kind of overall thoughts to start
Okay,
off?
so first of all, like full transparency, all of that is news to me. I didn't realize this was multiple promotions. You'll
Oh,
find out that I am um, not like a wrestling history person at all. So obviously I know who Jushin Thunder Liger is, and I've seen a bunch of his stuff more recently, and
yeah.
I'm aware of his legacy and have seen select things and stuff like that. But yeah, when you asked me to do this, I don't know I don't know what's going on with a lot of this beyond
Okay.
like wrestling matches that were a part of a tournament in Japan in 1995. So my first confusion was the match starts off with a Jushin Thunder Liger cosplayer in the crowd, like a guy, but it's so spot on that I thought it was just Liger like coming through the crowd.
So did I. And
I was like,
I literally wrote in my notes like, "Wow, Liger's a rock star. He's just out in the crowd." Because this is the second round.
right,
But Liger, being one of the two kind of carryovers from the 1994 Super J Cup, and just because he's Jushin Liger, got a bye in the first
okay,
round. So this was his first match of the night.
yeah, and I thought there looked like there was something a little like just a hair off about his gear, like
Mm-hmm.
when he was in the crowd. But I was also like, it was 95, like, you know what I mean? It wouldn't have been shocking if like somebody just had like some like a little bit dicey gear for a show or something
Yeah.
like that. But so yeah, so the start, like, knowing now that I have very little clue what's going on as far as like, contextually I understand what's happening, but as far as like within that show I don't really understand what's going on. So the show starts with Liger or where I pick up starts with Liger in the crowd dancing, and like
Yeah.
people just like, yeah, okay, cool, Liger's dancing, and then goes back to a wrestler that I've never seen before wearing giant crab claws, and then a coat with a tiger on it, and they start introducing him, and so I'm like, okay, so yeah, this is, who's gonna, and then they announce Liger, and then I'm like, wait, what is happening right now? And then I realized that it was just a Liger fan, like dressed as Liger in the crowd. So
Because then they cut to the fan and it's like, oh, that was a different person. Okay.
right, right. When they show Liger, the gear is like way tight, like, you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
way obviously better put together. I was like, oh, and then it all kind of clicked. But yeah, I started off very confused but excited. Like I'm gonna forget the crab dude's name the entire time. Is he like, okay? So was he around a lot? Is he like a name that I should know?
He was around very briefly and mostly in War and Michinoku Pro.
Okay,
Actually, one of the segments we'll do at the end is what happens to the loser after this. So,
gotcha. Yeah, no spoilers.
Yeah.
But like I enjoyed watching that match though. He was like, I mean, he was really good. Like
Yeah,
the
no,
strikes and stuff were
he was really good, and so like he takes it right to Liger too. Like Liger's
yeah.
doing his pose, it was all that, and then Gran Naniwa just comes up, and he was very much a fan favorite in his opening round match.
Okay.
So he just like, he's just this. He was 18, I think, from my research, like at the point of
Crazy.
this tournament. So
Yeah.
it was definitely like, I'm gonna prove myself against, even in 1995, this legend of Jushin
Which
Thunder Liger.
yeah, I think like he did. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
like when I was asking like, is this somebody like in the ring with that match? I was like, oh, this must have like this is probably somebody that did a bunch of stuff that I just am not aware of. But like even that first drop kick like off the top, you know, he kind of like roughs Liger up and then goes up to the top and just like obliterates him with that drop kick to the back of his head. It was interesting to watch Gran Naniwa because it was like, okay, he was just like beating the hell out of Liger at certain points, like really stiff, like really like great, like powerful moves and stuff like that. And then he would like, you would kind of think, or you would look at him and he's got like this crab mask on, and it just like, and then he would do some of like the heel like crab like comedy stuff at a certain point, and it was just like none of it seemed off, but it just seemed like such a strange mix of
it's such an interesting mix. And then like one of my favorite spots, actually, you can tell when we did this earlier on Instagram, I actually posted a little video of this of one of the spots I wanted to talk about, and that was so interesting backstory. Liger gets hit with the Hurricane Rana from Gran Naniwa, and that's actually what beat him in the '94 Super J Cup. And it's actually kind of a similar spot in some ways, because Sasuke in the '94, he is clearly going for a springboard Hurricane Rana, and he just completely botches the springboard and falls. And Liger, being Liger, is kind of a jerk about it and does his pose and then picks up Sasuke, and then Sasuke hits him with a Hurricane Rana and pins him.
Ah, okay.
So Naniwa goes for the Hurricane Rana, hits it just a 2, goes for another one, and then Liger just power bombs him down, and then does the crab pose, because Liger's, it's weird to think like an equivalent to people that won't follow Japanese wrestling, like Liger's almost acting kind of like Hulk Hogan, like where I'm very much the big baby face, but I can be a jerk sometimes, but you guys are gonna love me for it.
Well, it's that kind of like arrogance, but being able to back it up kind of thing, like that earned arrogance. You know what I mean? Like where, I think like a more modern would probably be like a John Cena kind of thing, where he can be, that kind of dick, but it's like, oh, he's gonna win though. So it's like he can kind of hit his pose and be kind of cocky and condescending and stuff like that, because he is the big dog, I guess, in that situation. Yeah.
And then later in the match, Naniwa like does a running senton off the apron.
Yeah.
And then like a big splash, and then goes for another top rope Hurricane Rana, but then Liger, and then a gut wrench power bomb, but Liger keeps kicking out of everything.
Yeah, there was a lot of really like pretty crazy false finishes in this match. Like they got me with a lot of them. It was like a really hard hitting match. Like all those power bombs and everything like that, and all the drop kicks and a lot of those like big moves were like pretty brutal looking. That senton off the apron was crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like there's so many like super cool spots like in this tournament that I was just like, wow, what is, this is so cool. And some stuff that like people aren't using, but then as we'll see as we progress in matches, there were a couple moves that got spammed way too much in this tournament.
Okay. I actually is one of them the sit out powerbomb?
Oh yeah, the sit out powerbomb.
Oh my
super
God.
Spammed.
So I literally like I told you, I took some notes. I literally put in here sit out powerbomb equals Canadian Destroyer. Like it's the same. It was actually kind of funny, and again, this is coming from somebody that has sporadically watched like Japanese pro wrestling, so this could be the case through all of it or whatever. But how like these matches seemed very contemporary. Like if you go back and watch a WWF or WCW match from like '95 or whatever, it's not gonna have the same feel and same speed as like you would potentially see in a match today. Whereas like this match that we're talking about right now, you could see two guys go in the ring and have that same match, and it would seem not out of place on like like a super indie or
Yep.
or a New Japan show or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was even saying when I was recapping the 94 tournament, like, this is basically where the modern style starts.
Sure.
Is
Yep.
from here on, because, like, the 94 tournament, you had, Guerrero, Taka Michinoku, Benoit, like, you had all these people who would then not change their style really as they went up to the bigger places.
Right. And then they become an influence on like Western pro wrestling.
Yep. So it's like,
Right.
oh, Liger and Ultimo Dragon, begat so much stuff.
Yeah, it's all influence, like people borrowing and stealing from the people that they like influence them to do what they're doing.
Yeah. So yeah, like, one of the closing stretch of this match was, Liger gets out of like a gut wrench with the capo kick, which
Yep,
he
yep.
still keeps using.
And it looks great always.
Another running capo kick, and then he goes up for something, or Nanawa goes up for something, but Liger just meets him with the palm strike, and then top rope elbow, just a 2 count. He goes for the Liger bomb, but that gets reversed. So then Liger hits the Fisherman Buster.
Yeah. A little bit earlier, like Liger had that like really crazy toss suplex too, where he just like lifted Nana and just threw him behind his head, and he just like landed on his head. Yeah. But yeah, the finish was like super back and forth. It looked like Nanawa was gonna like roll him up and counter him a couple times in there. But yeah.
But yeah, it was only, and like, we've actually been talking longer than the match was. So
Yeah.
like,
It was a sprint for sure.
Yeah, the match was like 9 minutes and 13 seconds. So one of this for your two matches, this will be an obvious answer. But I've been asking previous guests on this, is like, for the winner, would you keep watching their matches?
I mean, yeah, for sure. I'll say though, even for like the loser and for the match itself, like, it's got me. Whenever I go back and like watch something that I've heard about a bunch and just like never checked out, just like never taken the time to go back and get into or whatever, I always get why like they are hailed as what they are, and now I want to like go back and watch like a bunch more of this tournament and a bunch more of the stuff from this era. We'll see if I actually end up doing it, because I'm always like, oh, I'm gonna go do this, and then it's like, oh, but I got to do this, and I got to do that, and then this is on, and I got to finish the like 20th season of Hell's Kitchen that I'm watching, and like it just like all these layers. But no, like I feel like it's something that I'd like to like dedicate time to watch to, and it's just like that kind of time of like where I'm actually gonna sit and watch the TV and not be working on my laptop or doing X, Y, and Z. It's kind of tricky. So, but but yes, I would keep watching Jushin Thunder Liger matches based off this match.
That's good. I kind of figured like yours was an obvious answer of like, oh no, he's really good.
Yeah.
So
he's all right.
Yeah.
Did he do much after this?
A few things. He hasn't gotten eliminated yet, so I can't tell people what he does yet.
Yeah.
But yeah,
as on the edge of your seat for that one.
Yep. So the eliminated person was Gran Naniwa. He went on to work basically for every major promotion in Japan. Little stints here and there. Very much a journeyman. So he ended up wrestling for War. He kept being in Michinoku Pro Wrestling, All Japan Pro Wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling. But then sadly he died in 2010 at the age of 33 from a heart attack.
Oh man.
So
that's way too young.
Way too young. So yeah, like he was 18 in this tournament, which is,
crazy.
I don't know that many, even today, that many skilled 18-year-olds,
Sure, sure. So when he went, did he have the same gimmick the whole time, or did he
Yes, yeah,
change? Okay, cool, gotcha. Um, yeah, 18 is crazy because he was already. I mean, he went toe to toe with Liger. Like,
yeah. Just held,
yeah,
yeah, held his own. Like
right.
this didn't look like Liger was carrying him to a good match or anything. Like
Not at
um,
all.
his previous match was against Damien 666.
Okay.
Who's also kind of in that journeyman, but more lucha
Sure. Yeah,
inspired.
he still competes with like AAA and stuff, right?
Yep, yep, in
Yeah.
AAA and Crash, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and so Michael, plugs for your stuff.
Oh yeah, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at brainbuster underscore brainbusterinc.bigcartel.com. Also the Bad Light Zine, Bad Light Podcast. The podcast you can just find where podcasts are. And the zine is badlightzine.bigcartel.com.
Yep,
And
cool.
that's it.
And then all my stuff, Knocked Out Films on Instagram and Twitter. Check out everything here for subscribe to the YouTube channel and all that fun stuff. So
Heck
thanks.
yeah, absolutely.